And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at Avarium Academy, Avarium. I'm not actually sure how to say that, and I apologize for that, but at least you can spend some time looking at the box, maybe the long legs of the people on the box. This is a two-player fighting combat game, although you can play more than 4 players, but it's essentially a two-player me versus you, where you are somebody who's at a school which has ninjas and robots and stuff in Japan, I think, and you're fighting everyone else in that school. I'm not really sure why. I think you're just trying to become student council president, and the best way, as we all know, to become student council president is to get everyone else expelled. Now, often when I go over games, I like to give the redeeming qualities of a game. Sometimes there is none. This is one of those times. Let's jump into it. So in this game, you are going to be an idol. This is a powerful character. They say this is your avatar. You're part of a club. You have a certain gender at the top. That's how much reputation you're going to get each turn. And then you got special abilities, and you can exhaust them. There's a win con, the game calls it, which I believe is a winning condition. And so if you capture 6 students under me, this Hojo wins. And here, if you start your turn with 35 or more of the merit, then you win also. And so there's different people that you can be. Maybe you want to be this samurai, or hey, Peppermint Kitty, or this young lady, or this Mr. Love here, who is he is the harem king, which I think is often something that you find in high schools. So here's how the game sets up. There's some students out there, and so you can see there's all sorts of students, from a lab rat to the distractionist, to the left hand of the council, to this guy I think escaped from a superhero movie. But hey, the good news is each person is going to get this dial here, and this dial is going to keep track of your merit. And you can see that there is a kind of a spinning thing here, so that as you look, you can see your number, which I think is the one in the middle. Or is it both of these? I'm not sure. But the good news for this game is that they have made the worst dial in the history of gaming. So there's that distinction. Anyhow, you are going to be doing things. So the first thing you'll do on your turn is you'll look at your idol and say, have I done my victory condition? Has the player on my right won? What? That's kind of a weird victory condition. All right, let's take something else here. Did I start my turn with 5 or more students in my class? If that happens, then I win the game. So each person has their win con. And then you will ready. You'll untap all your people. You'll gain reputation from your idol. So most idols have 5, but Sebastian Wolfgang, for example, here has 6. So you're going to get reputation. Reputation is a currency that is made up on these super high quality tokens. So you're going to be taking these tokens, and then you'll draw a card from the top of the library. You have there's a school here and a library here. Whoops, I have them mixed up. The library should be over here, and the school's over here. So you'll draw cards from the top of the library. These cards, which have blue backs, are cards that you'll be able to do different things. Like surprise, exhaust target student. Or put target student with recruit cost equal to 3 or less from the courtyard into your hallway. So these are going to let you do things, and they have a cost that you will be spending from your reputation. So at the beginning of your turn, you're basically going to move any students in your hallway. Each player has a hallway here, and you're going to be moving them in your class. When you recruit students, over the course of the game, they go in your hallway, then they go in your class, and you can only have 5 in your class at the beginning of your turn. You can only have 5 of these cards in your hand. You basically ready everything at the beginning of your turn. You can then recruit students. So to recruit students, you basically just have to pay the reputation cost of the student. So maybe I want the strict monitor in my class. Well, I'm going to have to pay 4 recruit points, or 4 merit points to reputation points. Sorry, I keep messing up the different names because they all matter. And put them in front of someone else. And then I have, for example, when I take her, she has the exhaust, where I can exhaust her or tap her to put a target other student in any other class into that player's hallway. So I can send someone from the class back into the hallway with her. Or this guy here, the rogue star, as long as I'm supported in the fight, he gets +3 for that fight. So this guy is better in a fight. And you'll notice that each person has an attack and a defensive ability that they're going to have. So one of the things you can do is you can recruit things, you can get cards. When you get cards, they are considered to be ready unless you exhaust them, or as known by every player ever who's played games, tapping or untapping them. Now, you can also be doing schemes in this game. Schemes and surprises are cards that you will play from your hand. A surprise card can be played anytime. A scheme card is played on your turn. So you look at this surprise. Anytime I want, boom, there I get five merit. So I can play this card anytime I want. It's just going to cost me 3 of those points to play. And so there's cards that are surprise you can play anytime, and the rest of the cards you will play on your own turn. Now, one of the main things you're going to do in this game is you're going to fight. As I mentioned before, each person has an attack and defense value. So I can pick any of my students, or I can pick my idol to attack any of the other students on the other person's thing and or their idol. Then I can pick other people to support them. So we come in a group, they pick someone to be in a group, and we're going to add together the different damage to my opponent's defensive thing. So my damage will be done to the leader of the party. If I hit my opponent's idol, they're going to subtract merit from their little dial here. And if you hit someone else and do enough damage to get past their defensive and it's a student, then they're expelled. They're gone. And we have a little expel pile over here to put them. And then you'll clean up the students and you'll go on. And there's all sorts of different effects that can be played during a battle. And the battle is even more confusing if you play with 4 players, which I highly recommend you never do. Not like I'm recommending you ever play this as a 2-player game either. And then there's some timing and priority stuff. But you're just going to keep going until somebody gets to their final ability here, their win condition on their idol. So maybe Mr. Sebastian Wolfgang will empty the school. If he manages to do that, he wins the game. However, if you knock someone else's merit on their dial, which is hit points essentially, down to 0, you will also win the game. Or if the school runs out of cards, which he would normally win at, but if he's not in the game, then whoever has the most merit wins the game. Really, there's no winners. I cannot emphasize much how much I despise this game. There's a lot of reasons. We'll start with the theming. I don't mind the whole high school ninja fighting other high school ninjas, but this game is overly sexualized, which makes it a very creepy thing to play when you're talking about high school students in such a way. And when they're teachers, like if you open the rule book for the game and, oh, thank you, ma'am, she's here to help teach us the game. And in fact, I saw that there's an expansion called Teachers, which of course I will never play. And so that's just nonsense, right? I mean, we're talking about harems and stuff in school. There's good anime and there's bad anime. This is definitely an example of bad anime. The artwork itself is nicely drawn, I suppose, but I just found that to be, it's just like trash. As you look at it, you're like, bleh. All right, so, but regardless of that, what's the game like? Ha, 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 ha. Game? You're just playing cards to see what happens. Really? You're drawing cards, and oh, I'll play this card, and I'll block it with this card, I'll do this. That whole attacking thing, straight up from Magic the Gathering, except it's not very good at all. Oh, the rule book, is it well written? No. It looks like it's well written, it looks like it's well laid out, but it doesn't explain a lot of the things in the game. Like how to, like battles themselves are these complex things. I move here, I take a group, and we all go beat up somebody else, and that person then has a group and comes back, which means if you start falling behind in this game, yay, it's hard to come back from that. Isn't that exciting? It's not. So you put all this stuff together, and it's just a really lackluster game. Oh, did I mention the components were bad quality? Because they are. The box itself, yay, what a good box. I don't like this game, in case you're kind of figuring that out at this point. It's just, it's a mess. I have a hard time getting past the theme. Now, you might say it's a hang up on my part, maybe you like the theme. Okay, so let's take theme out of this, but man, I really have a hard time getting past this theme. So you get past the theme, and then you're going in there, okay, so I'm playing against somebody else, and we have these victory conditions, some of which are invariably way easier than others, by the way. And so we have these victory conditions, or we're knocking each other's merit down, or hit points down, on these wonderfully awful spinners. Oh, I hate those spinners. They're in my running for worst component in the game ever. But anyhow, so I'm trying to knock their merit down, and so I get my guys together, and we attack, and we play some special cards, and this is something that I think that might have passed in the early 90s in these style games. For now, it just does not work. So this game gets a big F from me. It's a terrible thing. I recommend it to nobody, and in fact, I'm a little sorry I had to waste some of my time talking about it on this video. So stop watching this one, go watch one of our better reviews. Dice Tower judgment, bad.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!